Just talking about the 10 movies to get nominated from the Producers Guild. We got The Big Sick, Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, Get Out, I, Tonya, Lady Bird, Molly's Game, The Post, The Shape of Water, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Wonder Woman. Those 10 got nominated for the Producers Guild Awards. Okay, we just talked a little bit about The Post and, its chances. So first off, I want to ask you a couple questions, too. Let's debate a few things. Let's debate about the movies that weren't talked about, okay, for a minute, or at least weren't nominated. First off, I think, too, I like the way that Forbes puts it, too. They said if Get Out were in a quote-unquote micro-budget, minority-led popcorn movie from a somewhat disrespected genre, it would be our unquestionable frontrunner right now. And I agree with that. I mean, there's obviously the long, debatable, but I still think, present history of like horror movies not getting the respect they deserve to in terms of awards. I think Get Out, I would not be surprised if Get Out winds up winning. It winds up winning Best Picture.
I would love to see Get Out win Best Picture, honestly.
I wouldn't complain, really. I wouldn't complain.
Because, I was so mad to hear it got nominated for a comedy at the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
Because, it has comedic elements, but, you really look into the film more and more, and you're like, it's not really a comedy, you guys.
No, it's not. Let's talk about this. Do you think, because going off of what you think now, and maybe we can revisit these 2 weeks later. Do you see Logan getting a Best Picture nomination?
Okay, so since it was my favorite film that year, I would love to see it get nominated, and I think it deserves it leagues above Wonder Woman, honestly. And to me, I would love to see it get nominated, and the article mentions that it's probably going to get a Best Adaptation, a Screenplay Adaptation nomination. If that's the case, I'm fine with that, but I would love to see something like that be nominated for Best Picture, because it is more of a drama than a superhero movie, honestly.
Yes, in many ways, yes. Do you see The Disaster Artist getting nominated?
I think that's going to be one that's going to get snubbed.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get snubbed because
I wonder if it'll get. I think the only thing that you could really make a big argument that's not a lock but close to it, like it's definitely in the lead, is Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see. I think a lot of people are thinking we're going to see James Franco and we're going to see maybe a Best Director. It's just Best Picture nomination. I don't think so. That's just me. I don't think so.
I think James Franco will get the nomination for Best Actor. I don't think he's going to win it. But you and I talked about this in our review, that it is a good film, and the reason why that film is held together is because of James Franco's directing and himself playing Tommy Wiseau. Everything else about the film is just kind of average, other than Dave Franco, I would say, who did a pretty good job playing Greg Sestero. Everything else about the film I felt was just kind of either good to average filmmaking, basically.
The other one that I haven't seen, actually, and I'm really aggravated because it's not anywhere near me. It's not anywhere near us, actually, to go see it, is that movie, The Florida Project, the Sean Baker movie.
Yes.
It's nowhere.
I was about to ask you about that. That wasn't nominated on here, and I've been hearing so much buzz about that movie, especially kid actors, kind of being big now with Stranger Things and other movies and shows.
Willem Dafoe might get a nomination for that. I'm kind of hoping. I'm almost hoping the fact that they get a nomination.
The clips I've seen of him, fantastic.
I'm hoping it gets a nomination just so I could have a chance at seeing this thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it hasn't come out anywhere, anywhere near here. I don't know if it's they're afraid it's not going to make any money, but they're not expanding it very, very much. You know, I mean, it's different. It's a difference between expanding something like I, Tonya, where a lot of people know the story, versus the Florida Project. But it's still not a lock by any means. I think it's got a halfway decent chance, but it's still very well could be. I think you could probably lump, because I said before, I think of the 4 locks for Best Picture are going to be The Big Sick, Lady Bird, Get Out, and Shape of Water. I think those 4 are locks, because it's going to be 8 nominations.
You want to hear mine?
What are your locks?
I'll say 3 Billboards, The Shape of Water, Get Out, and then Lady Bird.
Okay, you're not totally sold on The Big Sick being a lock?
I hope it does, honestly.
We're just talking empirically.
And I would love, because, if I had to really pick, honestly, all these movies, other than I think probably, other than Dunkirk, maybe, I think Dunkirk might get nominated, honestly, but I can also see that getting snubbed. That movie looks like it can go either way, honestly, for me. I see it as more of it's gonna get the technical nominations. It ain't gonna get that Best Picture nomination. Maybe Best Director for Nolan, but that's about it.
It could still, I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, the history of the Academy, I mean, you could go back to Gravity, go back to Mad Max Fury Road. The movies that wind up, Life of Pi, too. The movies that wind up sweeping or getting a lot of technical recognition are still recognized as Best Picture or still given a nomination. I think Dunkirk, I wouldn't call it a lock, but I think it's more than likely. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I don't see... I love Molly's Game. I don't see it getting the best
I was
picture.
going to ask you about that. I haven't seen it yet.
I love Molly's Game. I think Jessica Chastain will get a nomination for Best since it is based. I think it'll probably Best Adapted Screenplay since it is based off of a memoir. So I do think it'll get Best Adapted Screenplay. It's Aaron Sorkin too, so he'll get nominated. But I wouldn't bet on it being Best Picture nominated.
Tanya, when we get into this on our next hour, I'll like go more into it. I see that getting more of the performance nominations rather than a directing or a Best Picture nomination.
I agree. Maybe a writing nomination.
Maybe a writing nomination too. Yeah.
I would love to see a score or a cinematography nomination for that one too.
That's true. We'll get into it in the next hour.
We'll get into that. I definitely want is the about that. But I'm looking forward to it. The only thing is though is the last question I'll leave this on because I was talking to somebody else about it and he gave me an interesting answer. I want to know your opinion. Get Out. Let's say Get Out winds up getting a Best Picture nomination. What performances do you nominate, if any? Or is it going to be
Get Out?
Is it going to be an Argo situation where it's going to be like it gets best, like Get Out will get a Best Picture nomination, might win, but it might not get any or very few best performances. Because that's the thing. I'm not going to say the performances are bad, but there was nothing aside from maybe Daniel Kaluuya as the lead character. It's like, wow.
Probably the best performance in that movie.
But there's no
honestly.
like quintessential like performance where it's like, wow, this is amazing acting. It was good acting, you know? But I mean, like, and I know that people are going to be saying, well, it's a horror movie. You're not giving it credit because it's a horror movie. Did we not praise the acting of it for like 10 solid minutes when we were giving our review?
We did, honestly. And if I was on here for a Get Out review, I would have praised Daniel. I can never pronounce I can never pronounce his last name, but I would have been praising him honestly for like 10 minutes because
he's really good.
He is really good, and like that scene, honestly, it's a staple. Honestly, when I think of Get Out, when he's just sitting in the chair crying, it's just a staple scene. It's like the fact that he could just sit there and cry for that long. I'm like, that's impressive, honestly, as an actor.
I just wonder because right now the chips are heavy on Get Out to win Best Picture. So I'm just curious at the moment now whether or not you know like because remember Argo won Best Picture. Did not get a Best Director nomination.
Nope.
Did not get Best Actor. Ben Affleck did not get Director or Actor nominations.
Did it get a writing one?
Yes, it did. It got writing. The only performance nomination it got was Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
Was Alan Arkin. So like it was the first time I think in like 20 years that a movie won Best Picture that wasn't nominated for Best Director.
Yeah. Get Out to me is something that it could be in that similar situation where it could get that nomination for Best Actor but not win it. I could see this winning Best Original Screenplay, though.
I definitely
100%. The more I go back and watch this movie and see how many times I've missed something, I'm like, this script is so tight and good. I could see, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. Keen Peele. Jordan Peele. I can see Jordan Peele also getting the Best nomination. I don't see him winning it. And I won't even see. I'm not even like saying that's like a for sure thing he's getting that nomination. I could just see it happening, but I can totally see it just being in a similar situation. It wins Best Screenplay and then it wins Best Picture. It's not because of how good that screenplay. It's not
far off. It's not far off though. It really isn't. It's not too far out of your thinking and whatnot.
There was so many people telling me it's because of what Natalie Portman said on the Golden Globes about how there was no female directors nominated at the Golden Globes. And one of my friends asked me, do you think Patty Jenkins should be nominated for Wonder Woman? I'm like, honestly, no, because to me, recognition that you and I both love, and Dom, I think, too. Recognition in a film that's not getting recognition that you and I both love, and Dom, I think, too. Detroit, Catherine Bigelow, honestly. I would love to see Catherine Bigelow get nominated for an Oscar, honestly. And like when so many people were saying, yeah, we agree with Natalie Portman, Patty Jenkins should have been nominated, I'm like, guys, Greta Gerwig and Catherine Bigelow made a way better movie.
That is you are right. I'm glad you said that. You are right, like a 90-degree angle on that one, too. It's not that I don't think Patty Jenkins was good. I thought she was fine. Yeah. But I'll tell you, though, the one thing that I think prevents the Best Director nomination for her, though, is I think did the last 20 minutes of Wonder Woman not part?
You want to? That's what brought it down.
And it's not a writing point. It's a directing point.
Yeah,
it's a directing
really
point.
is. The way the film looks, the way how long this goes on too. Not only that, if I was here for this review, I would have talked about how that movie shot itself in the foot about its message, about how like it's trying to teach Wonder Woman, the character, that the world is all gray. There is no such thing as good versus evil. And in the last 20 minutes, it kind of just throws that message out the window and says, nah, there's Ares, there's good and evil in this world. It's like, oh.
I hear you. I definitely hear you on that, though. Looking to see if there's anything I truly missed, though. But we'll just have to see, though. Like, as far that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Kind of just,
and even if Wonder Woman, let's just say it did get a Best Picture nomination, I'll be fine with it. But I don't think it's ever gonna win.
You know what's interesting? I just thought about this. I'm glad I caught myself on this before we cut the break, and then I'll come back with my review of the Post. You know what's an interesting movie not named on that for the top 10 Producers Guild, or the 10 nominations for the Producers Guild top movie? You know what's an interesting one that wasn't there? Darkest Hour. That's an interesting one. That's
a good point.
You know, now
there's another movie too involving World War II and Dunkirk. Surprisingly, Their Finest came out earlier this year. A lot of people are forgetting it.
Their Finest.
Honestly,
That's
another movie that just got swept away by like all these other movies coming out.
But I'm surprised. I mean, I don't. Here's the thing. First off, I didn't like Darkest Hour. I don't think it should get nominated. I think Gary Oldman's a good chance to win Best Actor. Whether or not
it's probably the only thing that movie's got going for it.
I'll get into that when we get into kind of our Oscar nominations, if he winds up getting a nomination, which I'm almost positive he will. But yeah, I have no problem with Darkest Hour really getting little to nothing. I mean, honestly, because I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a perfunctory movie. I think it's one of those movies too that comes out every year. It doesn't really tell us much. It lacks a lot of urgency, I think, as a movie. But it's not nominated. I mean, I think if we're gonna go for like conventional Oscar bait this year, I think The Post has got that kind of wrapped up in a sea in a year that's brought us Get Out and 3 Billboards.
The Post just seems like that movie that's Oscar bait. You got Steven Spielberg, like you guys were just talking about earlier. Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep. Like that lineup right there. It's just like that just screams Oscar nomination.